Before the items, it is my duty to tell you about Daniel. For this, we must go back to the year 2019. As we all know, in that year, the pandemic occurred, and classes began to be virtual. Due to the fact that most children did not leave their homes, they took advantage of the chance to play Roblox all day. That year seemed to be going wonderfully for many children, but not for all. For some others, things were not going so well, let's say. Well, this is what a young woman named Laura explains to us. Laura became very famous at only 13 years old because one of the most terrifying cases happened to her playing on one of the Roblox servers, whose name I will not mention for legal reasons. Well, the thing is that Laura was very sociable, and like any child who is new to a game, the first thing she looks for is to make new friends. The problem with this is that we never know who is behind the computer screen of the person we are trying to talk to in order to become their friend. Many times the person you're talking to is a simple boy of your age, but other times, the person you're talking to may not be your age. Well, the truth is that Laura was tired of playing alone, so she found a group of friends within the server. In that group of new friends, there were several people, but we'll focus on one in particular, whose name was Daniel. Daniel had a bit of a creepy character in the game. In that group of friends, Laura had a good time. They spent several hours playing, every day. Meanwhile, no one knew the faces of the others, not even their voices. Laura began to enjoy hanging out with her new friends. She became more and more attached to them, but after a while, the group slowly began to separate. Suddenly, what began to scare Laura was the fact that some of them secretly told Laura to be careful with Daniel. They tell Laura that none of them had invited Daniel to be part of the group. They told her that basically, he started following them everywhere. They told Laura every day to be careful with Daniel, and the next day they told her the same thing but in different words. They told her that he always tried to talk to them outside of the game, and he always wrote to them all privately, and also so late at night, and sometimes Daniel wrote to them in the early morning as well. This made Laura curious, unlike her other friends. So Laura was the only one who didn't separate from Daniel. For some strange reason, Laura fell in love with Daniel little by little, since Daniel had a certain ability to convince children. Laura asked him why her previous friends told her that he was weird, but he told Laura that they were jealous of him, and that was why she should only trust him, and no one else. He also began to fill her head with lies, telling her that the other players could be stalkers, when what she didn't know was that she was talking to the real stalker. Every day Laura fell more and more in love with Daniel, which made Daniel think about how to do what he really wanted to do with Laura, since he had all her trust. As time went by, Daniel began to take advantage of the opportunity that she loved him, and Daniel asked her for a social network outside of Roblox so that he could talk better, and so that Roblox could not censor his conversation with her. At first she began to hesitate a little, but unfortunately she ended up saying yes. Laura didn't know what a big mistake she had made by making that decision. After that, the conversations between Laura and Daniel became more frequent. In fact, she no longer entered to play Roblox, since unfortunately she was falling into Daniel's trap. Daniel had gotten weirder. One night, Daniel starts asking her a lot of awkward questions, which luckily makes Laura start to feel a little bit scared. The reason I say luckily is because at least if she gets scared, then maybe she'll want to block the weird guy, stop talking to him, and move on with her life. But unfortunately, Laura kept answering everything the guy asked her. The guy started asking Laura where she lived, what her phone number was, and what time her parents left her home alone. But what Daniel never knew was that he had been talking to an FBI agent all this time, and that after all, Laura was never a child, but was always an FBI agent who was dedicated to catching stalkers and perverts, just like Daniel.